Good evening to everyone else.
That's right.
It's good to be in God's house. Now, Bridget, don't let me forget this. I
Yes, sir.
forget this
Yes.
before. And my wife will say, "Where is your jacket?" I'm saying, well, I gave it to Brother Spencer. I thought he needed a new one. It is such a joy to be here. We are the Cofee family. I say we, it's just Luke and I. But it is such a joy to be here, church. We are your missionaries and your representatives in the country of South Africa. We have an opportunity to share Jesus Christ with people who have never heard a clear presentation of the gospel of Jesus Christ living in the city of Port Elizabeth, South Africa. And you guys have been partnering with us for many years now, and we count it such a privilege to be here. And man, we are so appreciative of your faithful support. You know, people sometimes talk about the sacrifices that missionaries make. And to tell you the truth, I don't really see it as a sacrifice because it really isn't a sacrifice for us. Man, I love what I get to do.
Amen.
It is a joy. I do not dread going back to South Africa. I do not dread being in South Africa. It is a joy.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you, church, for sacrificing to enable us to get to do what we get to do. I get to live out my dream. I get to serve God on the mission field. I get to live in the beautiful country of South Africa. And I get the opportunity to tell people about Christ and see the change that it makes in their life.
Amen.
And it's because of the witness, or it's because of the sacrifice of folks just like you that enable us to do what we can do to get around the world. And we want to thank you for that. If you wouldn't mind, this evening, I believe we're going to be going in the direction of Philippians chapter 1. I'm going to give you an update of what's been going on in South Africa. First, I'll introduce myself a little bit because I know there's people here that probably have no clue who I am, in the sense that you maybe were not here the first time we came. I can't remember what I did last week, much less 5 years ago. But it is such a joy to be here. I had an opportunity to grow up in a Christian home. I didn't grow up in a broken home. My parents, they were divorced when I was 2 years old. When I was around 5 or 6 years old, my mom accepted Jesus Christ as her personal Savior. And my mom, she was a different kind of person. You know, she gave us choices whether we could go to church or not growing up. She didn't want to be too forceful, so she let us make a decision, even as young kids, if you can imagine. She really gave us two options. She said, Mark, you can go to church on Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday night. That was the first option. And then the second option was, I can meet you half to death. How many had those kind of options growing up? And so just to say the least, I praise the Lord for a faithful mom who kept us in God's house. And, because of the kind of churches I grew up in, and because of a faithful mom, I think it would be safe to say this evening that I've heard a clear presentation of the gospel of Jesus Christ at least once a week since I was 5 years old. I've heard how God in human flesh came to this earth and lived a sinless, perfect life. How He died on the cross, not just to show us how to live and how to be willing to sacrifice our lives, but He died on the cross, taking the penalty and payment for my sin.
Yeah. Taking
the punishment that I deserved on the cross of Calvary. And then He was buried, and He arose again 3 days later to prove that He had victory over sin and the dead.
Amen.
To make it possible for us to be separated, make it possible for us to be born again. Yeah. And folks, since I was 5 years old, I've had an opportunity to hear that message of how all we have to do is repent and believe the gospel. We can be with Him for all eternity. People, there's folks around this world tonight that are 40 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old, 70, 80, 90 years old, that's never heard that message one single time.
Right.
I'm 41 years old. I know I look 31, but I'm really 41. But that's over 36 years of hearing the gospel.
Yeah.
36. We are a rich people, are we not?
Yes.
Amen.
We are a rich people, are we not?
Yes.
And I can remember growing up, and unfortunately, when I got on in my teenage years, I started growing away from the things of God. And the things of the world on this side, the things of God on this side. I said, God, I've played church long enough. I've been faithful to all the youth activities. I've been involved in what's going on. I didn't miss church because of my mom. But I'm going to try some things of the world out. And folks, what I thought I could do, I thought I could play both sides.
Yeah.
I thought I could have a good time in the world and hang out with my friends at school or at work and have a great time. And then, hey, on this other side, I could go to church and play games. Thought I could trick people. But I realize as a born-again believer, if you have sin in your life, God always has a way, and you try to cover that up, God always has a way of revealing to everyone around you what you're involved in, what you're doing.
Right.
That's what happened in my life. When my mom, she received a phone call from the county jail. And I can tell you it's not the best place in the world for your mom to get a phone call from.
Right. Amen.
And they said, man, we need you to come down here to the station to pick up your son. He's been in some trouble. Here I was, good old Mark Cofee, good old Christian, and my sin was before the people.
Right.
And I can remember my mom, she didn't really know what to do, but the one thing that she did do was call my pastor. And I can remember my pastor and my youth director coming to the jail that night. And my youth director took me and the boy I had gotten in trouble with off to a separate room. And in good southern terms, he pretty much just ripped our faces off.
Yeah.
And he said, Mark, I'm not going to let you throw your life away to the devil.
Yeah.
If you turn down, God can do something great with your life.
Right.
And, folks, I didn't have the right kind of spiritual fatherly influence in my home. But I praise the Lord for the men of God in my church that stepped up and took that place in my life.
Amen.
I would not be here tonight if it wasn't for those men. And I would encourage, you're going to have all different kinds of people coming through the doors of this church.
Right.
I've encouraged the pastor speaking with me about the different ministries you guys have going on, the bus ministries and the tent revivals. You're going to, because of those ministries, you're going to have tons of different people and tons of different backgrounds come through the doors of your church.
Amen.
And I just want to encourage you, take interest in those young people.
Yeah.
You never know how God can use your life to influence someone and make and cause your life to impact their life in such a way that would enable them to do great things around the world.
Amen.
And I wouldn't be here tonight if it wasn't for those men just like that.
Yeah.
The next kind of major step in my life, I was 19 years old. I just graduated from high school, and I was interested in two things when I graduated from high school. If you guys can imagine what those two things were. Number one, I wanted to find a pretty girlfriend. And number two, what do you think the second one was? Anybody have an idea? Money. I want to make a lot of money. That's kind of my two goals and two ambitions when I graduated from high school.
Yeah.
But I had Missionary come to my church, and he preached on a Sunday evening. I don't exactly remember what he preached, but I do remember going to the altar and surrendering my life to the Lord. At the time, I thought, hey, this means I'll give up the wrong kind of music. I'll stop hanging around the wrong kind of friends, and hey, I'll maybe start going on soul winning once in a while. I thought getting right with the Lord, I thought that's all I really had to worry about. But about a week later, that missionary came to me and he said, Mark, how would you like to go to Peru, South America with me on a mission trip just to see what a mission field is like? Well, I was actually supposed to register for college that next day. And I thought, hey, what better way to put off college one more semester? Visit the mission field. And folks, what I thought was going to just be a foreign vacation, just an opportunity to get on an airplane for the first time, was something that changed my life forever.
Yeah.
I stepped into a country that was founded on something that wasn't God's Word.
Right.
Yes, they had religious sacraments and they had the good things they thought they could do to work their way to heaven,
Yeah.
but they didn't have a clear representation of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And folks, really, in 1995, God really changed my life. He really brought me to the place. He said, Mark, what are you going to live for? Are you going to keep going toward the materialistic gain of this world, or are you going to start obeying the commandments of my Word? Folks, you see, I had my goals set out. I had my own plans and my own desires. And I felt that everything that God had was going against everything that I wanted, that I needed, and that was going to bring me happiness and bring me joy. And I really fought and struggled with God for really about 3 months on that 5-month mission trip. And finally, about at the end of 3 months, when I was tired of fighting with God, and I just finally got to the place where I threw in the towel and I said, okay, God, I'm not going to fight with you anymore. Anything you want me to do, that's what I'll do with my life. And it was about 3 days after that day that he called me to preach, called me into the ministry. And, it's just amazing how God can just reach down and pick up any snot nose sin and plunk out of the other and say, Mark, would you follow me out and do something great with your life?
Yeah. Amen.
And that awesome thing is that he offers that same thing to everybody in this room.
That's right.
It doesn't matter what mistakes you make. It doesn't matter what bad decisions and what wrong paths you went down. You realize we have a God in heaven that wants to use our lives to magnify and glorify Him around this world.
Amen. Yes.
And man, I'm just glad that I have an opportunity, despite the mistakes I've made. I'm glad I have an opportunity to serve our Savior tonight. Man, it's just a glorious opportunity that we have. I was there in Peru in 1995, I went back to Peru in 1997 to learn Spanish better because I thought the Lord wanted me to start Spanish ministries here in the States, knowing the need of the great Hispanic population that's coming in our borders. And just thinking that was the Lord, the direction God was placing on me. But while I was back in Peru, He put it in my heart to go back to Peru as a full-time missionary. So I came back to finish the last 2 years of my Bible college education. And then when I finished Bible college, I started thinking about my pastor. The one who invested time in me, the one that worked it out, that summer that I got in trouble, he worked it out where I didn't have to go to youth jail. And I could do community service at our church. And instead of standing out on the side of the highway picking up trash. And man, he just really helped me. Man, I can remember the sermons that he prepared and man, how he prayed for us and just invested in my family and my life. And I thought, hey, I really want to pay him back for all that he's invested in my life. So on June the 24th of 2000, to pay him back, I married his daughter Amy just to give something back to him. Just to give back a little bit, amen. And, after salvation, my wife, Amy, is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I hate that she couldn't be here tonight. But I've been kind of running her rabbit, and she's threatened divorce if I didn't stop making her go on my trip. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I was, she's more of an introvert. She kind of is a homebody, and I'm like, I just want to get out and travel and go and preach and meet. But the only thing, I hate traveling by myself, so my son is stuck with me. But I wouldn't mind having my wife, but, I let her stay home sometimes. But man, God has blessed us. God has given us 5 wonderful children. Really 3, and this 2, okay. No, I'm just kidding. No, God has blessed us with 5 wonderful children. Some people look at us and we have 5 kids and they're thinking, man, you're a great missionary family, but missionaries are supposed to have a lot of kids. But really, we have 3 biological children, but our oldest 2 boys are adopted. About 8 years ago, I went actually to the airport. I had a cousin of mine who was going to Peru as a missionary. I worked in Peru. When I finished Bible college, my wife and I worked in Peru for 5 years. And then in 2005, we came back to help start our church, our home church that we're members of now, Vision Baptist Church, in the Our Generation Training Center, which is a missionary training school in the North Atlanta area. And we came back, and my cousin, Jeremy Hall, actually went to Peru kind of to take my place of the position I was working there in Peru, in the church planting ministry and helping the Bible college and the different things that were going on in South America. So I can remember going to the airport when Jeremy and Rebecca were leaving to go to Peru for the first time. And I went to the airport, and Jeremy's my first cousin, and his mom, my aunt, my mom's sister, was there at the airport. And she said, hey, Mark, I'd ask you to pray for Alicia. That was her older daughter, and that's Jeremy's oldest sister. She said she just lost her boys because she continued driving under the influence with them in the car. And defects came and took them out of the home. And we're not sure what to do. And that was on a Friday, and I just made a flippant comment to her. I said, well, Bonnie, if there's anything that I can do to help, just let me know. We'd be happy to help. Well, that was on a Friday, and on Wednesday, we had 2 new boys moving in our home. And the situation was they were going to stay in our home for 6 months. Their mom had to stay sober for 6 months, and when she stayed sober for 6 months, she could get back. Unfortunately, that 6 months never came. She continued just drinking. And, I grew up in a divorced family. And I can remember the fights that was involved in that, the child support and the fussing and I hate you, I hate her, I hate everybody, the parents fighting and us hearing the bickering about the dads and the mom, just a mess. That's what I grew up with. And I kind of made a decision, hey, I'm going to make sure my kids are not put through that. Yeah. But it's amazing how God kind of makes you eat your words, because I brought those 2 kids in my home, and man, it was kind of a chaos. Sure. Not inside our home, but kind of the fightings on the outside with the crazy grandparents and the crazy other parents. And man, it's just a continuum, you can imagine, just drugs and alcohol. So it just kind of worked out. Man, there's just some crazy things that went on. But unfortunately, about 4 years ago, my cousin, she died of a drug overdose and alcohol poisoning. And that kind of sealed the deal as far as the boys not wondering what was going to go on with them. But it's just amazing how God just kind of worked things out. Amen. And it's kind of how He allowed me to go through some things as a young person. where I could deal with those things as an older person when I was going to be really working with and going through those kind of things with my two of those boys. So they've been with us for 8 years now, and God has just blessed in a great way. I would ask you to pray for my oldest son. He's since he's been at our home, he's been rebellious in some areas, and we really prayed that God would really work in his heart, but he's still at the point where he's rebelling. You see, we're Georgia Bulldog fans, and he's a Tennessee Volunteer fan. And, I told him, if he's going to come in our home, he's got to switch, but he hasn't switched yet. So, just pray for us that we can deal with that rebellion. No, I'm just kidding. But Tyler and Chase, Tyler had an opportunity. I have a desire to take all of my kids on a missions trip before they graduate school. And last year, I took my son Tyler, our oldest, on a trip to Thailand for just a week, and it just worked out really well. And now Tyler is in Bible college. He feels that God wants to be a missionary to Thailand.
Amen.
And we praise the Lord for that, and just how God's grace has worked in our family. People talk about, man, it's amazing how God put you in their lives to help those boys at a certain time like this. And I must really tell them, they're really the ones that have changed us and helped us and impacted our lives.
Amen.
And Chase, he's the 17-year-old, and he's the accident waiting to happen. He's his first try at rugby in high school there in South Africa, playing with a high school team. He broke his ankle in like 4 or 5 pieces. We were going on a safari park, and he got bit by a monkey. That's just, he's just an accident waiting to happen. But he feels like God wants him to be a missionary as well. Amen. So we praise the Lord for how God works. And I don't force my kids to be in the ministry, but I pray that God will use them in the ministry. Because I want them in the ministry. Because one thing we have to realize, folks, I don't believe we have much time left.
That's right.
Amen. I believe that Jesus Christ can come back at any moment.
Right.
And we as a church of God, Jesus said, go ye into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. Yeah. And, that command was given to the church in the context, we're to get the gospel message around the world in the context of local churches.
Yes.
And, in order to have more churches around the world, we got to have more preachers.
Right.
And in order to have more preachers, we have more people to go out and preach and train the young guys where people will be impacted with the gospel of Jesus Christ. Yes. So, I don't force my kids to be in the ministry, but I want them to be in the ministry. Amen. Because I know there's a great need around the world. Right. Today they say that there's over 7.5 billion people in this world. 7.5 billion people. We can't even imagine what that even means. Right. They say out of that 7.5 billion people, that over half the world's population, over 3.75 billion people, have never heard a clear presentation of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Right. Over 3.5 billion people have never even heard the gospel. And I've heard it all my life. Yeah. My kids have heard it all their lives. Yeah. And I'm sure the majority of people in here have heard it all their lives. Man, I don't begrudge it. Man, I am so thankful. Sure. And I love hearing the gospel. I love sharing the gospel. I love telling the gospel. Man, Jesus Christ has changed my life. He's changed my family's life. Man, He's changed, my friends' lives. Man, Jesus Christ changes lives. Amen. Amen. But the same thing we have in the United States, man, I would love to see that duplicated around the world. Sure. I've heard statistics, and I'm not sure how accurate they are, but I heard that out of the over 90% of the world's ministry workers live in the United States of America, where there's 5% of the world's population. Now, I'm thankful for every church that we have in the United States. Yeah. And I hope we get more churches. But man, we have to realize the need around the world. We have to realize, man, we've got to do something to get involved in. Man, wouldn't it be so great that God here in this church, in this small little town, that God would raise up some workers that we can see and send around the world. Right. Amen. Man, how God can change. How God can just use just a small little town to make an impact around the world. Right. Amen. Yes. Folks, that's how we have to think. If you don't mind turning your Bibles, I'm just going to turn to I'm just kind of talking to you guys tonight. Amen. Just sharing my heart of some things. Zechariah chapter 14. Now, I believe that Zechariah chapter 14, we're still probably going to go back to Philippians, but I just want to do kind of a side note here. Because, folks, I really believe we don't have much time left. And I think we need to kind of maybe look at some Bible prophecy just to see if we can feel how close we may be to the rapture of the church. Zechariah chapter 14, the Bible says here in verse 1, Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, and the spoils shall be divided in the midst of thee. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the rest of the people shall not be cut off from that city. Now this is talking about the time of the tribulation. Now understand this. He says, I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle. Just think about that. All nations of the world are going to go against Jerusalem to battle.
Yeah.
Does that kind of sound familiar to anybody? But then it says right here, and it says, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity. Now, if you know anything about Jerusalem tonight, Jerusalem is split up into two sections. You have the Palestinian side, and then you have the Jewish side. And the world hates the Jewish side.
Right.
The Jews do everything wrong. Israel does everything wrong. Palestinians, they can do no wrong.
Right.
The world is siding with Palestinians. Even in South Africa, the nation of South Africa is on the Palestinian side, thinking because they're being oppressed by the Jewish people.
Yeah.
And it says here, half the city will go into captivity. Just interesting to me that the only thing that's saving the world from going against Jerusalem today is what? It's the church. But the reason why it's the church is that, kind of the greater picture is the United States of America. And why is the United States of America on Israel's side? Because of the church. But we know in our society today, you have, I've never seen a hatred toward Christianity like I've seen it in our day and age.
Right.
Now, I know it's existed. We read in the Bible and know that, it's been, people have always hated Christians, always hated Israel. But I've not seen it in our nation in this way before. I just saw on TV where a politician was praying, and he said at the end of his prayer, in Jesus' name I pray, amen. And the people went crazy. It was hysterical, mad and angry, because he prayed in Jesus' name. I've seen pictures where people were holding up signs in favor of abortion, saying, hey, if we would have aborted, or if Mary would have aborted her baby, we would not be in this mess.
Yeah.
People like that, you can look at that and become angry, and I'm not really angry at that kind of thing. I'm just sad.
Yeah. That's right.
Because I just know they don't have the truth. And they don't know what we know.
That's right.
But folks, we see a hatred toward Christianity. We see a hatred toward Israel and our nation. Man, it's just amazing. If the rapture of the church took place today, how quick this prophecy could take place.
Sure.
Because it says here, I will gather all the nations against Jerusalem, and half the city will go into captivity. I wonder which half he's talking about there.
Right. That's right.
And it just makes me think, man, the rapture of the church takes place, and this prophecy is true next week.
Yes.
Next month it can happen that quick because everything is in place. The nations of the world right now already are going against Israel. Man, and even our country, the attitude of our country is divided.
Right.
You take out the church, and the majority is against Israel.
That's right.
And guys, it's not part of my message, but man, I just want us to see that we don't have much time left.
Right.
Amen.
And sometimes we say, well, man, Jesus Christ can come tomorrow. And that's true. Man, He can come tomorrow. But a lot of times when we say that, it doesn't change anything in our lives.
Yeah.
But what if we thought about, well, man, what if Jesus Christ came in 4 years?
Yeah.
What can I do in the next 4 years?
Right. Amen.
Where we can radically make sure as many people as possible have an opportunity to hear the gospel of Jesus Christ?
Amen.
What can we do?
Right.
Man, how could I change my spending habits? How could I change my time? How could I change my direction and my goals and my desires? Thinking about what Christ has done for me. Thinking about how little time we have to get the gospel message around the world before the church is raptured out of here.
Yeah.
Man, what can I do? Maybe I reconsider. Maybe I just don't need to be living for that retirement.
Right. Amen.
Maybe I just don't need to be living for that boat.
Yeah.
Or that vacation.
Yeah.
But I'm living where people will have an opportunity to hear about Jesus Christ.
Amen.
When's the first time you heard the gospel? You know, most Christians, they can't remember the first time.
Yeah.
Because we've always heard it. We've just always heard it.
Yeah.
No, it's not for sure for everybody. And I'm sure there's people in this city that haven't heard the gospel of Jesus Christ.
That's right.
For those, but for a majority, I can remember growing up in high school, in public high school, majority of those kids had been invited to church, heard about the gospel, heard about Jesus. Not every, you know, of course, we know a lot of people rejected,
Sure.
but they went against God. But folks, we have a world that doesn't even know.
Yeah.
And we have very little time to get the gospel message to the world.
That's right.
Flip back over now to the message. I'm not going to be much longer. I promise I'm going to hold you guys here captive all night. But you know, I'm just thankful for the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Philippians chapter 1, verse number 3, the Bible says, I thank my God for every remembrance of you. Always in every prayer of mine for you all, making request with joy for your fellowship in the gospel from the first day until now. Now, we come to the book of Philippians. Now, Paul here is trying to encourage the church of Philippi. Now, as I look at the church of Philippi, I kind of look at this as Paul's favorite church. You know, I know you're not supposed to play favorites. You know, Paul didn't have any children, but Paul had his churches. And I know as a dad, you're not supposed to play favorites. But, you know, it's been kind of hard for me as a dad. I have 3 smelly boys and 2 beautiful daughters. I mean, it's real easy for me to play favorites with my 2 beautiful daughters. Even though I love my smelly boys. But I have my favorites. No, I'm just kidding. Kind of. Not really. But Paul here, you know, he didn't have his church, but he had his churches. Is there anybody about the church of Philippi? Man, this church was, man, they were just so involved in Paul's ministry. Man, Paul impacted this church, and in turn, this church impacted him. Right. When Paul needed help, he knew where he could turn.
Right.
And when everyone else had abandoned helping him, there was one church that stood by him. All along, that was the church of Philippi. And he stands here and he says, man, I am thankful for you. Man, when I think about you, it brings a smile upon my face. When I think about you, man, I thank God for you. Man, I as a believer, man, I hope when people think of me, they have good thoughts.
Yeah. Amen.
But sad a lot of times as Christians, when people think of us, they don't always think good thoughts, do they?
Right.
And he says here, for your fellowship in the gospel from the first day until now. Now, when we as Baptists, especially, when we talk about fellowship, what are we usually talking about? We're talking about eating. We're talking about food, amen? We're talking about fried chicken, banana pudding, everything good that goes with that. But unfortunately, here in verse number 5, they weren't talking about food, they were talking about ministry.
Right.
See, the church of Philippi, they called on something. They called on that, hey, when they gave money to Paul, and Paul went out and started a church, it was like them starting a church. They called on that, hey, when they gave money to Paul, Paul went out and saw someone saved, it was like them seeing someone saved. Yeah. Fellowshipping in the ministry, investing. Man, they were investing in something that was going to make a difference for all eternity.
Yeah.
Amen. And man, Paul was so thankful. And as I think of Northside Baptist Church tonight, I think about how you guys have invested in my ministry and how thankful for you guys we are. And how when we were in South Africa, we were there for the first years learning the Xhosa language. And the Xhosa language is a clicking language here in South Africa. And just to give you an idea, John 3:16, just keep it biblical. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son. Whosoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. We were learning, and we'll continue to learn because, man, we definitely are not where we need to be. But after 2 years, we started the New Life Baptist Church. And folks, when we started New Life Baptist Church, it was like you guys started New Life Baptist Church. Right. When we started a church in South Africa in the area of Kwadwesi, man, it was like you guys starting the church in Kwadwesi. And you don't even know these people. You don't even know where that place is. You have no clue.
Yeah.
But you guys had a part in South Africa because you fellowship with us in the ministry.
That's right.
It says in verse 6, being confident of this very thing, that he which hath begun a good work in you We'll perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. I love that phrase, hath begun a good work.
Yeah.
Man, can you folks here tonight remember when He began a good work in you?
Amen.
When He came into your life, when you heard God's Word preached, and you were convicted, and you responded to the invitation of the Holy Spirit to come to Christ. Can you remember that good work that He began in you? Man, He says, and He will continue it. And He talks about verse 7, He says, even as it is meet for me to think this of you all because I had you in my heart. He's talking about, man, you guys, you hold a special place. Man, I know the gospel has had its work in you. Man, and I'm encouraged and I'm thankful. He says, I had you in my heart inasmuch as both in my bonds and in the defense and confirmation of the gospel, you all are partakers of my grace. He says, you guys have experienced what I've experienced. God has given me His grace, and you guys have been able to take it, the grace that God has given to me. And then the thing is, Paul is here as a church in the church of Philippi. And, you know, and he's saying, guys, I don't want you to focus on your circumstances. I don't want you to focus on what you face in this world. Right. Man, I want you to focus on Christ. Amen. We're to find our joy in Christ, not in our circumstances. Yeah. Because, guys, you know we have a ton of stuff come at us, don't we? Man, we can have problems in our family. We can have problems at work. We can have fightings just between us. Man, there can be problems with financial problems. There can be health problems. There can be all kinds of crazy problems. Yeah. And Paul is encouraging the church of Philippi. He says, man, you guys are going through some great persecution. And the circumstances of life are not favorable to you right now. But man, I want you to understand, church of Philippi, you need to draw your joy from the Lord, not from the circumstances that surround you.
Amen.
And the neat thing about it, as Paul was trying to encourage the church of Philippi to rejoice in the Lord, where was he sitting? Yeah. He was sitting in prison. That's right. For preaching the gospel. Yeah. Amen. For being a witness for Christ. For being His ambassador. Yeah. And he was sitting in prison encouraging the church of Philippi. Kind of seems like it should be the other way around, doesn't it? But Paul makes a statement here. He says, church of Philippi, I want you to understand, you're a defense and confirmation of the gospel. Yeah. You know, I'm sitting here in prison for preaching the gospel. People say that what I preach is false. People say that I'm just bringing division. And I'm bringing falsehood. I'm promoting fairy tales. Right. That I'm just preaching a bunch of rubbish. But I want you to know something, Church of Philippi. Your life and your testimony is a defense and confirmation that what I preach is truth. You guys are the proof. And man, how many tonight can stand up and say, man, my life is a defense and confirmation that the gospel of Jesus Christ is true. Man, if you would have just known me before Jesus, if you would have known me before the gospel, you would know that the gospel that I received is true. Amen. That it truly changed my life. Amen. Amen. The neat thing about it, man, I wish you could travel with me to South Africa tonight. I wish you could go and meet out with you. I wish you could meet Lisa Kanye. I wish you could meet Ngumelwan and Yanga. Man, I wish you had an opportunity to meet China and Kona, Fundisa and her two little girls, and Mandisa and her family. And you would know the gospel that we preach here in the United States that changes lives is the same gospel that changes lives in South Africa. Amen. Amen. And you can see some people that can stand up and say, hey, I'm a defense and confirmation that the gospel that we preach is true. Yeah. It's true, folks. And Paul is just encouraging the church of Philippi in verse 21. He says, for me to live is Christ and to die is gain. What he's saying is, man, my life, whether I live and die, whether I live or die, it's about Christ. Right. Amen. My purpose is Christ. Yeah. I do what I do because of the gospel of Christ. Yeah. Man, what perspective do we live by? Why do we do what we do? Why do we go to work? Why do we come to church? Why do we raise our family? Why do we do what we do, folks? Yeah. We should have the same purpose as Paul. For me to live. That's right. Is to promote Christ. That's right. Amen. to die is gain.
Yeah.
I had a group from Michigan come to South Africa last year. And we were working in one of our churches, and they were doing some roof work, and some of the ladies were inside painting murals on the wall. And I was there with my cousin Jeremy, and my cousin just stepped outside the doors of his church, and a guy came up to him with a pistol and stuck it in his gut. It said, "Hey, I'm going to come in and rob all these Americans." Jeremy said, "I'm sorry, I can't let you do that. That's bad advertisement if we get a youth group robbed on a mission trip. If you guys stand out." No, but he's like, "No, you can't come in here." And he had a gun in his stomach. But thankfully, there's some neighbors saw what was going on. They got a crowd together to come after this guy. And he saw him coming, and he just kind of ran off. But Jeremy works in a very rough, my cousin Jeremy works in a very rough neighborhood, a rough area of town. There's 2 drug houses opposite ends of his church on each corner. There's drugs and alcohol constantly in that area. People walking, people get killed on a regular basis. And that was on a Saturday, but guess what? Guess where Jeremy was the next Sunday morning? That next Sunday morning.
Amen.
He was back in that area preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Guess where he was on Tuesday and on Wednesday and on Thursday and Friday? He was back at Swedgeville Baptist Church preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Because Jeremy realized one thing. Hey, for me to live is Christ. For me to live is to make sure that people know, the drunks and the addicts of the world have an opportunity to know who Jesus Christ is.
Yeah.
For me to live is to make much of Christ to people who need Christ.
Amen.
And if I die, it's gain.
Yeah.
Amen.
Paul continues in this chapter, verse 27. He says, "Only let your conversation be as it becoming the gospel of Christ.
Yeah.
That whether I come and see you or else be absent, I may hear of your affairs, that you stand fast in one spirit, with one mind, striving together with the faith of the gospel." He's saying, guys, let your conversation, which is more than just talking, but it's your lifestyle, let it be as it becoming the gospel of Christ. That means let the reason why you live be about the gospel.
Right.
And then he ends, kind of where he starts, chapter 2 kind of starts, he says, hey, I want to talk to a specific group of people. It says, if there be therefore any consolation in Christ, if any comfort of love, if any fellowship of the Spirit, if any vows and mercies. He says here, he says, I want to talk to a specific group of people for just a minute. He says, I want to talk to anyone who's been comforted in Christ. I want to talk to anyone that's been comforted by His love. I want to talk to anyone who's experienced the mercy of God. He said, I just want to talk to anybody here at the Church of Philippi that God has done any kind of work in your life. I want to talk to you for a moment. And can I ask you tonight, church, is there anybody here that God has done anything good for tonight?
Amen.
Is there anybody here that can step and say, hey, God has been a comfort to me. He's been merciful to me. Paul says, I have a message for you, specific group of people. If God has worked in your life in any way, I have a message for you. He says in verse 2, fulfill you my joy, that you be like-minded and have the same love and being of one accord and one mind. What he said was, he guys, fulfill you my joy. He says, I'm a joyful person. I would encourage you to rejoice in the Lord and to find your joy in the Lord and not in your circumstances. But I want you to understand something. There's one thing that you could do that would cause me to be overfilled with joy. To have more joy than I can even stand. He says, fulfill you my joy, that you be like-minded, having the same love and being of one accord and one mind. And that's talking in the context of the gospel.
Right.
He's saying, guys, the one thing that would make me happy or make me more joyful than anything is for you to feel the same way about the gospel that I do. Yeah. That you guys would be united. And that you would be yoked together. Yoked together, working together. And have the same spirit, the same heart, and the same passion to get the gospel message around the world that I do. Yeah. I'm willing to be shipwrecked. I'm willing to be whipped. I'm willing to be put in prison. In church, I want you to have the same passion for the gospel that I have.
Right. Amen.
That's what Paul was teaching the church of Philippi. I want you to have the same passion. In church, what's that Baptist church? I want you to understand something. There should never be a single missionary or preacher that comes into your church that has a greater burden and a greater for world evangelism than you do.
Right.
Amen. It is a church's responsibility to get the gospel message around the world.
Yeah.
It's not a preacher's responsibility. It's not a missionary's responsibility.
Right.
It's a church's responsibility.
Amen.
We're all supposed to have the same burden and the same heart. Just because I'm working in South Africa
Yeah.
doesn't mean I can't have a heart for China.
Right.
Just because I'm working in South Africa doesn't mean I shouldn't care for India, and I shouldn't care for South America, and I shouldn't care for North America and Central America.
Right.
Folks, we should have the same burden, the same heart around the gospel that Paul had. We cannot make a decision that for me to live is Christ. It's a guy's game. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, I thank you for this day you give us. I thank you for the opportunity to be in your house. God, I pray that, Lord, you just draw us closer to you. Help us to love you. Help us, Lord, to be obedient to your word. Lord, have the support, have the courage to do what your word says. In Jesus' name I pray.
Every head bowed, every eye closed, let's please stand. God spoke to your heart tonight. I encourage you to come. I wonder